Yeah, go for it, John.
My name is John Miller. I'm with IBM in the Global Technology Services line of business. I'm the chief architect for our worldwide deployment of data center infrastructure management tools. And so part of our job is what we call a legacy migration to bridge that into Nlight. So we'll have not 24, but maybe eventually one. But at the same time, it brings a lot of new opportunities that we bring to Nlight, but at the same time, it's going to help us with the end-to-end scope of DCIM. So my job is the strategy and architecture, deployment, operations, and we have a small COC team that we use to deploy that across our enterprise, where we have about 2 million square feet of data center space and in the neighborhood of 280,000 assets that we're running there. And for the rest of the world, it usually go 2 times 5 and 2.5 times that, and that's what it'll equate to. So the biggest issue for us was not the technology so much as it was getting everyone on board with, through workflow and using that so that first off that you were sharing this one central system instead of having 3,000 accounts with 3,000 different sets of spreadsheets that they're working with. And then making sure that everyone's communicating and that we've developed standards so it all makes sense when you put it together. So, and the thing is, then you're trying to take this up through management levels where every unit, has their own little fiefdom. Every site was, in fact, when I came into this area more than 10 years ago, we used to call it silos. That was the way they referred to their organizations where they were so vertically aligned. So this is the kind of tool you need because it breaks down those walls, establishes common standards, and it's a win-win situation because now the guys who are out there with spreadsheets are saying, wow, you should have done this 20 years ago because now we have a platform to use it and it doesn't just disappear. You don't lose a spreadsheet. It doesn't get dated or someone doesn't pick up one that's last year's version, but it's accessible for all. So you can identify which account, which racks, which data center we need, are the ones you need to optimize, plus compare them for best of breed analysis. Why is this one working better than that? So, it's done all those things, and we didn't focus so much on the cost takeout. We put together the financial stuff that says, yeah, you can defer data center bills, you can do this and that and the other, but if you hit the fundamentals, that's the only way we were able to drive it is, no outages, no, and optimization. But optimization does equate to cost takeout. Either that or revenue growth, one or the other, and neither one is okay. Sure. Basically 2 things. One, plan your architecture so that you have a sense of all the different components that come with DCIM and how they're all going to fit together and where you'll get the source data and what group will do it. But don't feel like you have to go do it all at once because it can be overwhelming. There's just so much. DCIM continues to grow in the breadth of it. I remember going to one of our reviews on promotion and someone says, oh, this guy only knows DCIM. And, they need to have at least 2 skills. Yeah, so, those who know DCIM laugh at that because, it's got like, a dozen different ones. It's extremely broad in the network hardware. You just go on and on. And it can, if you think of it in terms of, I got to get it all done at once, it's going to paralyze you. You have to, but that's why I say you have the plan that takes it all into account, but hit it where your business need may be like some I see start on the facility side and kind of bring it forward towards the IT link, and others just the reverse on that. So it's really what your initial business need is for the most part, but bringing it all together is what's really going to drive the ultimate optimization and cost takeouts and things because of shared data, shared resources, and everyone kind of contributing to the best cumulative idea. In the United States, IBM, we had done all the assets were tagged, and we in fact even went with the harnesses to narrow it down to which rack they're on. The interesting thing is that I found that it helps if you do the initial RFID true up, which you have to do. It's not magic. But at the same time, we're reevaluating whether we really need that going forward, and certainly whether I would invest in it further with some of the newer products that are coming on the market with Nlight's, like the Discovery tool, for example, because that you can have the automation do it instead of having to always be dependent on the process and the personnel. because we have so much volatility in IBM these days with personnel in particular that you got it all ready to go, and then that team's gone the next day. But with the automation, that's really our strategy right now is to roll out the Discovery/Explorer tool to take the place of that. Plus, I will say that I did a cost analysis on the two, and they were dramatically more costly with RFID. Yeah, we're looking very strongly at Neo because when I talk about resiliency being our #1 thing in IBM, we've actually had developed some other reports and things that we use internally to use the data that Nlight, from the connectivity data and make sure we have the resiliency. But we clearly identified the reporting capability that the field acquisition and Neo brings to the table, and that's one we're looking to deploy in first quarter next year.